show up?
Usually on my profile, more people find it there, but that's what I think comments can be in more than one place, which is a little bit weird.
Okay, gotcha.
Hello, hello. Are we live? I think we might be live out there. Meeting is now streaming live. Hi, everybody.
Yay!
Hi!
So excited to have these ladies on. I think I have shared, these have been every Tuesday afternoon, evening, depends where you are. It's Friday morning in Australia for a couple months. And I'm just doing them for fun and still figuring out how to make something out of all of this. But the theme for December has been joy and happiness. And it makes me smile just thinking about these ladies and different adventures where we've crossed paths and fun stuff that they've done. So just so excited to talk to them. They've got some great, focus for them is river. They are in Utah and Colorado. They'll introduce themselves a little bit in a second. I'm Kristen Thomas. I'm in Southern California. So kind of a different subculture for sure. And I think sometimes it's so cool what's going on there. And sometimes it gets a little bit isolated and I don't always hear everything that's happening in sort of the river world. And I think it's super cool. So we're going to talk about those things and what they've been up to. They've got some new stuff, but I was saying, I think I've only known you guys maybe 8 years at the very most, maybe a little less than that. And you have been involved in so many different things. It's pretty amazing all that you have done. So let's keep with the theme of happiness and talk about river happy things.
Yay. River happy things.
Yeah. So it's funny, I think of you guys as girls because I'm a lot older than you, but I called you ladies. But you are such leaders, whoops, that's the wrong one, in this whole river culture. And for me, especially you've connected me to a lot of things that have gone on. So some of the things I'm up to, here's you guys.
Yay.
Let's admit, I don't know. You're already in, hopefully that's not in the middle. So these two ladies connect in a lot of ways. They live in different states though. So they've done a lot of great projects and things and adventures on their own, and also together. So why don't you guys give us a little just background of kind of your water background or anything that brought you into this and where you first started with stand up. Natali?
I think we're having some difficulties on Natalie's end, so I can go first.
Did we lose her?
Yeah, her Wi-Fi I think is acting up. There, she's coming back. There she is.
She's back. Oh well, you can go first, Brittany. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Well, my name is Brittany Parker. I was born in Rifle, Colorado. Yes, like the gun.
Rifle, yeah.
And it's it like lives up to its name as well. Currently, I'm in Gypsum, Colorado, which is just about 45 minutes east of Rifle, but I'm still living along the river. I have been stand-up paddling for, I would say since 2011 or 2010, and I was a raft guide for a couple years before that and kind of during the same time as well. And when I found stand-up paddling, I just became obsessed because I was really into board sports and I've always wanted to surf. And I was also picking up kayaking at the same time. And I didn't necessarily like being contained in a boat. And I liked being able to stand up and see things a bit more and get really playful. Not that you can't be playful in a kayak, but on a stand-up, it was just different and more my style. So I dropped the kayak. I started stand-up paddling regularly. I found some competitions and I showed up to one and I met the Badfish crew and they lent me some boards and I entered into the river surfing contest without ever having river surfed in my life. And I didn't surf. I think maybe I paddled in on my knees once, but they were cheering me on. They were willing to lend me their really nice boards, like glass boards. And and then I just kept running into them and they took me under their wing and invited me onto the team. And then I started kind of trying to do it full time because I was I was also trying to pursue a career in like freestyle snowboarding, but I kept getting injured. And then, so finding stand-up paddling was like a real blessing because it was a lot easier on my body, and it was kind of cool to be at the beginning of something, and it was still super new, and I hadn't seen many women doing it, especially I think at that competition. That first one, I was one of 3 that was competing at the time. And so it was exciting to be part of something like that, and to feel like I had a role, like I could actually witness it grow and have a role in how it did grow. So, yeah, and the community was amazing. The river community is always really welcoming, and I just fell right into that community because I didn't have a really strong family dynamic growing up, and that ended up being my family. So, um, yeah, so I started traveling around and surfing and competing, and Natalie and I met. We started our business, and well, I guess before that, we made a film called "Can I Surf That?" and a river surfing film called "Can I Surf That?" Natalie and I started teaching, like kind of in the wake of "Can I Surf That?" teaching stand-up paddling and river surfing, and I lived in my van for a while, and
Yeah, well, we're gonna catch up. There's some great stories in all of
yeah,
that, and
yeah.
let Natali do a quick. She's made a full tour. We just got a tour of something, Natalie. That was awesome.
Oh my God, Jesus! So sorry.
No problem. So you're in Moab, right?
I am. Yep, Moab, Utah, and I tried to stream from my little podcast trailer, but there's not enough Wi-Fi that reaches that, and my phone wasn't able to do much. So I apologize for that. But
No
I'm
problem.
I'm hopefully, can you hear me and everything's fine? Cool. Awesome. Yeah, a little bit about me. I grew up as a water baby and just loved the water. There was a local natatorium nearby, and because my name was Natalie, I just spent all the time at the Nats. So I was like, learned how to, and I ended up in high school. I played on the water polo team. I was just like a lover of the water, and then I went to college and was sick of smelling like chlorine. So I decided to learn how to run, and ended up making the rugby team, which was super fun. And with all the group of friends that I had with that, a group of boys were river guides, and they invited us to come down to Moab for a river trip. And I came down, and I just fell in love. I was like, what? This is your life. You're tan, you're buff, you get to meet people, you make money, you get to know all about the world. You know everything from what that star is to how to fix a broken arm to how to lead, how to row, how to read water, how to have conversation. It was just like all the things of just being like a Jane of all trades. It just like really, really hit me. And just that there was something out there like that and that you could earn money. It was just like, that's what I want. And so the next year I became a river guide, and then fast forward 15 years of guiding, I, in the Instagram world found stand-up paddleboarding, which led me to finding all the different brands like Badfish, and even not only river, but ocean. And that's kind of when I met you, and going to the outdoor retailer shows and the, what's the one in Florida? The
Surf Expo.
Yeah, the Surf Expo. And just really getting to learn like the ocean and river world, and learn how to compete and how to train, and then getting to be part of a team. And I went through a couple different teams until I found Badfish, is where Brittany and I both are teammates together. And I love that, as a river guide, if I want to get more challenged, I have to write up the classification from class 3 to class 4 whitewater to class 5. And going back to changing my sport, like paddleboarding, made a class 1 or 2 like really fun and challenging. And so I was kind of in this place as a river guide that I didn't want to keep going to like class 5, but I wanted some challenge. And so paddling ocean and whitewater was such a fun, like new challenge for me. And so it's just been such a fun, wild ride. And yeah, and now here we are.
Here you are, and here you are with me, which makes me so happy. It's so fun to catch up with you guys.
Yeah.
Here you are. So together you've teamed up on quite a few things, and River to River, I just loved reading the description of this because I knew it was about instruction and education, but you don't even start with that in your description of it. You talk about stewardship and wanting to share the love. You've mentioned some of the things of, you know, outdoors, and it's so true about how addicted we get and how passionate you guys are and many people about the water and about outdoors, and for you guys about rivers and what it's brought to your life and wanting to share that. There's an awesome video that's on your website that I want to share to our little Facebook page that we have, kind of a follow-up thing that's really cool about when you guys were on the road in the van with River to River. I forget who made that, but you had a class with like gals and guys, and that's a cool little video from 4 years ago. It's from a little ways back, but I think this is super fun. I want to talk some more about that. This, of course, Brittany, I was a supporter. Where'd it go? She can't believe that I actually have my hat.
So awesome.
So Brittany and some other river gals made this amazing movie. And we've talked, all of us, about how fantastic it is that stand-up paddleboarding for the first time has a water sport, a vessel that there's as many or more women on, if you count all the different varieties, recreational and everything. That's never happened before. And that's so rare in any kind of like outdoor activity and any type of sport. So I really always want, it's nothing against, I love all the guys, they're part of our community, but it's super fun always when there's anything that's female to like keep being the role models that you guys are for this kind of stuff. So love that. I did see that you can still buy it on Vimeo or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's still
We're
out
about
there.
to change the way that it's available shortly, so that'll change, but I can
Yeah.
share that with you
I
later.
found a Facebook page about it, but no longer a website, right? But it really
Right.
was very cool. And then the most recent thing that I saw that you guys just started, maybe during COVID times, we've all done interesting things, is a podcast, a river specific podcast. And you have a bunch of cool episodes out already, but what a perfect combo, you two doing that. So I want to talk some more about that. Also, competitions. Natali, you already mentioned that. I have a similar background. I didn't know that, in that I was tired of chlorine by the middle of college, and I was a swimmer. There was no water polo because I'm older than you for girls yet, but you know, ocean stuff. But I didn't learn to surf till I was 40. Stand up was 50. You know, so it's just been so fun to get back to competitions. And this looks like it's few bar. You have some great things. I think more in Colorado, maybe in Utah too. But I know there's like a whole river culture of competition. But my favorite, not having been in very many river things, was the Kayak River Games.
Oh,
Man,
That
it
was a
didn't
good
happen
one.
for very long, but that was an amazing introduction because you had a lot of people there that weren't river people mixing with, because there was kayak competition, some of the top people doing that freestyle stuff I had never seen before. But also we had some races where part of it was the paddling part, which I knew how to do, but then whitewater, you know, woo. There's a lot to learn, a lot of like language and everything about that. But that was also amazing, just river culture. What did we have? Like axe throwing and log rolling, and
Oh yeah,
organic food all
so
weekend, and
much.
a hot tub right at the surf feature.
Right,
I mean,
massages.
massage.
that was just
Oh.
an off the charts weekend.
It was,
So
yeah.
glad I got to be a part of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it
then I
was
know you guys have led trips or gone and lived other places, and self-supported like camping trip things, which I've been a little bit a part of. Your van road trip we'll talk about. Costa Rica. Were you both living down there? I forgot. I know you were, Brittany. And then just river culture and language. I think there's just so much that's different, you know. I know when I first took a lesson, you know, on getting across, I mean, just eddying out itself, you got
Yeah.
that like means nothing to some people in
Right.
the SUP world.
Mhm.
And then I found a few pictures that, do you remember this one, Natali? The pool? That's you doing a fitness class of some sort. I'm planking on a board and you're holding it at a,
Oh
I
my
think that's an
God.
outdoor retailer. Boardworks was a company, Brittany, that you were with for a long time and had a great
Natalie was with.
Oh,
I
you're in
was.
that- Oh yeah, but you're in that picture.
Yeah.
But we all have lots of friends in there. And then I told Brittany I found this picture of her visiting here in Dana Point Harbor.
Yeah.
It's her on a quadundrum, which Infinity makes a 4-person board.
Oh, look at that.
Quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell by the old boyfriend.
Yep.
But let's go back to some of those things if I can get out of this. Stop share. Yep. Are we all back? Yay.
Mhm.
And let's start with River to River. Was that kind of your first partnership in besides just being friends and maybe competing against each other? Was that your first business?
Yeah. Yeah, that was our first business. And originally, like I said earlier, we were kind of piggybacking off Can I Surf That and that tour. And so we were doing Can I Surf That clinics to coincide with the screenings of the film. And so we were teaching clinics, and then we decided we wanted to make it into a legitimate business. We worked really well together, and we just had really good chemistry, and just fun to teach with her. And so we started River to River. I moved down to Costa Rica. This was 4 or 5 years ago. And then she came down and lived with me for about a month, and we built the business over that time, built our website, created our whole itinerary, our mission statement, everything. So that was our first partnership, and yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. One thing I didn't mention is you, and maybe you do it still, but you used to really consistently blog. You're a writer too, and you did a lot of great stories. And I think people are hungry for content. Part of that, is what we're doing here, what you're doing with your podcast. But do you still have a blog or do that?
I still have one. I haven't been as active, I think mostly because I'm back in school. And so that takes up a lot of my time. And then now with Natalie and I kind of taking River to River to a whole nother level, it's pretty time consuming as well. And so I've been putting a lot of my energy into that. I still write regularly every day, but I haven't put much on the blog lately. Yeah.
No, it's a lot. Yeah, I didn't mean to pressure you at all.
Oh no, it's okay.
It was good, and it was fun to read, and it was good
Thank
to
you.
have those stories out there.
Thank you.
So Natalie, I didn't realize that the movie came first. I didn't do my research well enough. So the movie was part of
okay.
sort of van tour. So talk about that. How long was it? A whole summer that you were kind of on the road in the van with the trailer, going to different, I think you said you kind of tried to connect with a store maybe that was, I guess, going to show the film as well as sponsor maybe a clinic. How'd that?
Yeah.
Where all did you go?
Yeah. But so I came back from Grammy.
Yeah, you're frozen.
I can hear you, but you're frozen. Oh, there you go.
Okay. I came back from Costa Rica in February, and then in April we started our tour. Am I still clear?
Yes.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Voice.
And okay. I don't know what's going on. I apologize. It's windy in Moab, so you never know. So we ended up we hit Iowa to check in with one of our Badfish teammates there. And then our first clinic was in DC, and a good friend of ours, Gmo, also Badfish teammate, he helped us connect with the shop there, with a gentleman that helped us with permits, and just that was one of our biggest clinics. It was so cool. And then from there we went down to Asheville, and then hit kind of the southern roof of the States, and then ended up in Colorado. And then there we toured. We hit, Salida and Durango and Glenwood and Moab. And then we went up north to Idaho, and then ended up in Bend. So we kind of follow wherever the whitewater parks are, because it's already a hub. That's already a community that's established, or at least more than not. And
again, we have a lot of listeners who aren't river people. So you have to, because I didn't even know water parks in towns, like man-made water.
Park.
I didn't know it was a thing.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Really?
Never heard of it. And then people like Mike Harvey, who actually make them, who design them and everything like that. We've met them. So kind of explain that, like towns actually, and a lot of them are really cool because they're right in the middle of the town. I haven't been to a lot of them, but like Boise, Idaho, and Bend.
Yeah, Brittany, do you want to talk about the parks?
Sure. Yeah. So, like you said, Mike Harvey, he's one of the co-founders and co-owners of Badfish, but he is also a whitewater park engineer, and they're exactly what they sound like, whitewater parks, where there are these static features that are built into the river, and they almost always exist within a town, and you'll have different features, maybe like 4 or 5 different features. Some are good for kayaking, some are good for river surfing, but what's really nice and good about it is it's just like a great place for you to work on your skills, and you can park and play, and it feels, I mean, it's still the river, so there's still dangers and hazards, but it feels like a little bit more of a controlled, safe environment versus having to go downstream and set up shuttles and stuff like that. So, and there's all different kinds. There's static features that are more natural and worked into the landscape a bit better, and then there are some that are adjustable features, which create, like in Bend, for example, or in Boise, those are adjustable and they create these green glassy faces, which are really nice for surfers. And you'll see people out there with, regular ocean boards, tiny ones, and
Yeah,
ripping it. Yeah.
that was wild to see that, and the adjustability thing, and wow, that you can have that.
Yeah, it's pretty
Surfing,
amazing.
surfing isn't just on the ocean.
Right. Yep. You can surf anywhere, really.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I had no idea you went that many places on the tour. When you said DC, I'm like, is that in the West? Is that like a small town of DC? No, DC, Washington.
Yeah.
Actually, I know that was my first time there too.
That was you put in some mileage.
We did it, and like the theme of that year was just it costed a lot. Like we charged all of our credit cards, all of our bank accounts. I even asked my sisters for money. I was just like, just grabbing like the clinics themselves helped us get to that location, but they didn't quite like help us get to the next. So we were just living in the moment financially. Yeah. And it was so fun. And we got by. And then the next year, like, okay, we can't do that same tour. Let's just, what were some of the best spots? Or like, where can we, like, where's a little bit more feasible to, put our time and make sense. Like if we're going to go here and compete, let's also teach. And so we're trying to be smart about our traveling. And so just the second year was like Colorado and Idaho and Bend, and then it was just Colorado, and then it was just Moab and Glenwood, and then it was just Glenwood, and then it was then we paused for a couple years because we needed to reset why we were doing it. If we can't financially support it, how can we reframe River to River to work for us and our lifestyles? And it took us a couple of years to get smart, and then which brings us to this year where we stripped down what is River to River. We've stripped down many times of what it is that we want, and a lot of hard conversations between her and I, lots of hard emails, and kind of getting to the root of like, what is it? What can and being honest with my time, and like, what can I actually do? And what can you actually do? And what is it that we're like, where is this momentum going? And then this year, everything clicked. And we have a lot of momentum, a little bit too much right now in a good way, but we're seeing a lot of really cool things coming into play. And I think it's just timing. We weren't ready for them. So.
Yeah, well, it's rolling. Well, a word that comes up every time we talk about stand-up paddling or being outdoors is community. And you have been very intentional about that you've, when you did that tour, it was about the stewardship part, which I want you to talk about, but the building community and growing the community. And it's interesting that there's been a interesting wave that we didn't expect, March, April, when this pandemic hit, stores thought they were going out of business. This is, everything's shut down. And suddenly there's this turnaround in the outdoor world. It was a confusing year. And so it didn't work for everybody just in terms of supply and demand being this like crazy thing. But in general, stores ran out of hard goods for bicycles and stand-up paddleboards and kayaks and camping equipment. Crazy, what the year became. And I happen to live near the top of a really cool mountain bike trail, hiking trail, and I have never in the 26 years of living here seen as many people walk by my house, hike by my house, bike by my house, which is a great thing. But it also, I'm getting back to like stewardship and building community. A lot of people are new to the outdoors. They're new to water. So safety and stewardship, there's like a lot of education I feel like needed. All the people with inflatables down at Dana Point Harbor that they bought online because the store wasn't open, we know that there's a big range in quality in those. And so that's kind of a good thing, but a scary thing too. And I've never said nicely about turning your paddle around more than I have in the last 5 months.
Hey, jackass.
No, right?
Just kidding.
So sorry, that was my little, I got on my high horse there, but it's this wave. And so it's a really good time to have momentum and energy and to grab onto that. So but again, the river world that you're so connected with is so cool and different. And I don't know why sometimes it feels like it's disconnected. I had a talk with a bunch of race directors around the US and I thought, we don't have anybody from like the whitewater scene. Is there a connected like series and we just don't hear about it if you're outside of, your zone there, the mountain zone?
Yeah. I mean, we have a race series. We have a circuit that we do. A lot of it's centered around, and maybe that's just because it's where I am, but there's like back-to-back competitions in Colorado from end of May throughout most of June. And then you do get some, like there's an event in Moab, and then there are events out east as well later on in the season. I think either super early before ours start or after ours start. But there's a circuit, and I've noticed that as well. I think there was it SUPConnect that would have all of the races
and you
listed, even like ocean, river, all of it. And that was really cool. It was cool to see all of those worlds coming together. And it's nice with GoPro because then we do see some of the ocean people coming to the river. But it's very rare that we go to the ocean for the races.
Well, they are different styles for sure, but I would guess that you have some distance racing and flatwater racing. You have lakes and such.
Yeah, we do have a lot of lake races and stuff, especially around here. We have lots of reservoirs and stuff. So,
but that's where we get our asses kicked.
Yeah, I like currents.
That's when a river girl's like, oh God, I need more training.
Yeah, give me current. I'm much happier.
I got humbled at Tahoe Nalu. I did the 5-mile race, and I was like, no, I did was it the 10 first and then the 5? I forget which order, but yeah, and then I was like, oh. Like it was like, that's halfway. Oh my God. Like I couldn't feel my shoulders. I was so pissed. And then you get angry, but the emotions of a 10-mile race are so interesting. And then I got back and I was like, give me the biggest hamburger, fries, beer. But because like that right there, like, oh, I earned a big meal, and that's
you earned it big time. But that's again, kind of the challenges of connecting stand-up paddling are that there's so many ways to enjoy stand-up paddling. Even in our little, world of racing, there's so many ways to race, from sprinting to distance to downwinding is a huge thing. I don't know if you've ever been up to the gorge, but it's like a surfing up the river with the wind blowing. It's just
super cool.
Yeah, super cool, really different ways. And then like what you guys are doing and surfing, of course, can be competitive or not, both on the ocean, on the river, and actually on lakes too. Like the Great Lakes have during storms and stuff have actual waves. So it's a beautiful thing that it's so diverse, but it's also complicated in trying to like define it and pull it all together.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So again, the language. So the first time I took a lesson, and the whole idea of current, and I'd been in rivers and I'd done some whitewater kind of, I think you just led a trip, Brittany, and you guys were both river guides. One of my favorite, I have to say, vacations when I was young was one of those, my parents took us on a 5-day, like to me, that's the absolute best balance of luxury because the guides actually, caught the salmon and cooked it up for us. And, I don't think they put up our tents, but I guess they do that on some of them. But you're outside enjoying nature all day long but then you have that, cocktail at the end. Actually, I was underage, but I think it's
we don't
but
tell.
but those kinds of trips are just absolutely amazing and life-changing, I think, for a lot of people who get out of doors. So that's neat that I didn't know you both had like guiding background. But I think we're going to see a lot of more people looking for that kind of thing too, like for an expedition to go on, or, aren't quite comfortable doing it on their own. I mean, you two are, definitely the types who are leaders, and you have that early adopters. I've talked a lot about the people who are early into stand-up paddleboarding, who just go for it, and like, not unsafely, but, have enough skill and enough chutzpah, whatever the word is, to do stuff on your own, and obviously start businesses and things like that on your own. Well, now the next wave might be people who want, I think, a little bit more guidance or help, or would like to go on a trip that's already organized, but are still loving the outdoors and the water so much.
Yeah.
But your river thing, so river is kind of a next level skill. So I think it's neat that at least in that little video I saw, people were like going, wow, I didn't know I could do that, or I'd only tried it on my knees. You mentioned for people who are higher level, it's being on a different watercraft stand up, it's more challenging. So it's a way for them to come back and have a challenge on a class 1 or 2 rapid. So it kind of really is for everyone, because again, you could go down on your butt or your knees the first time, or, and falling in. I mean, that's, again, my favorite thing about water is that it's so much easier to fall on water than, sorry, you were a snowboarder, but hard snow, or skateboarders, asphalt. It's nice not to get road rashes. I've still managed to hurt myself. I think we all have, in one way or another. But talk about river language. And so if somebody's coming to the river for a lesson and never had done any whitewater, what are some of the things they're going to learn on a river?
Well, I think with us, we like to humbly say, maybe you've heard all of this before, but I want to know, instead of I trust that you know. And so we give a pretty in detail safety talk, whether it's a private or a group lesson. And I think that's the first thing, is like, what are you looking at, what to expect, and then the gear, how to hold it, if we're going to use it. Yeah, totally. Leashes.
Ocean people have never seen this. They have no idea what we're talking about when we say leash.
Quick release.
Leash for the situation is super important.
Yeah.
So
quick release. If you do get people from the ocean that come and go on their stand-up paddleboards down the river, and so that's definitely one of the things, is just like making sure that someone has done their research first before.
I love that though, Natalie. I've never heard it put that way, but it's so, people who rent say, well, they said they knew how to swim, but they didn't make them show them. Or, if I taught a lesson, of course you're going to go in the water, because you have to show us that you're comfortable and you can get back on, because it's amazing. I think that's one of my biggest concerns with the newest wave of people who are new to the water, is that they don't, or the outdoors, they don't appreciate, we love Mother Nature, but Mother Nature is very powerful, especially water, and you need to respect as well as love it.
Yeah. And I think that exactly, that shows, like, if you learn about it and you talk about it, you're respecting it. Even if you think, maybe you're going to learn. And I always say, you may have heard this 300 times, but you might find something new that you haven't really or I put 2 things together that you didn't necessarily realize. And so now you've learned something new, and that's the goal. It's like, I want to challenge you to find something new in the safety talk, or see something different. And then the next phase is like, okay, now show me you can paddle, show me you can fall, get back on, versus like, oh yeah, I've done that before. So there's a lot of like talking about it, and then showing that you can do it, and then going forward. But we have stopped teaching downriver as much as just stationary, because we got stuck a few times in the early years, being like, okay, everybody, let's go to that side of the river. And then I get into the eddy, and then all the guests and customers would just like keep going. And I'd be like, hey! And now they're in the lead, and I'm in the eddy, and she's in the back, and I'm just like, oh my God. And the river doesn't stop moving. And so you're just like, oh shit. And so we've gotten ourselves into so many of those in the beginning. And then we're just like, we can't teach on moving water unless we know they have the skills. And so that's what made us really like stick to whitewater parks, is because they're stationary, and you can you can do a lot without them going away. You know, maybe they fall and it pools up somewhere so that you can practice all the things necessary for the river, but not really lose a customer and have them endanger themselves by like, oh, I slipped and fell and now I you know, I'm not as confident as a swimmer as I am as a paddler. Now you have another risk or danger. So
yeah, someone may look at that and be like, this is all we're going to do. Like, we'll stand in front of a park and we're like, okay, there's an eddy, which an eddy is just the calm areas that form behind some sort of obstruction, and it's where we regroup. And we'll have, you know, people practice just going in and out of the eddy and into the main current and going to the other side of the river. So we're still working with moving water, but we're not going downstream. We're not moving downstream to from point A to point B. We're staying in one spot and we're just working on those foundational skills, because those are so important. If you don't know how to catch eddies, then we're screwed, you know. like you're gonna just keep going downstream. The river doesn't stop. So that's always really important. I think it's hard for a lot of people to see why they need a lesson, because it is so accessible. It is so easy to get into versus a kayak where you need to learn. You need a lot of other gear for a kayak, and then you also need to know how to roll, and you need all of these other skills, where it's easy for someone to just say, oh, I'm just going to, you know, I'll just sit down on my board or whatever when I need to and just go down the river, without really getting all of those foundational skills or understanding how the river works. And so we spend a ton of time just talking about water dynamics and hydrology. And we have everyone swim the park without their board, because they're going to be swimming and they need to know how to aggressively swim into an eddy. They need to know what it feels like to swim through a feature, and yeah, not rely so much on their board. You know, if they don't have it, they need to be able to swim. So
I need to come take a lesson. I don't think I've even done all that.
yeah,
At least not on purpose swimming.
I think you did at Payette. I think
I
you
think I
got
did.
a lesson
you
at
got your
Payette.
practicing.
Or 2 or 3, yes. Those kinds of lessons. Well, we all, I think, have learned learned by doing. Definitely part of getting into something early. And I just love what leaders, again, you guys have been. So tell me about your new podcast. We'll definitely put a link on the Facebook group that follows up to so people can find it. When did you get it started? And you're so connected, but do you have a lineup? Do you have an endless list of people you're ready to interview? Or
Well, I think before we talk about the Eddie out, Brittany started one, which is kind of where we got some of the confidence, was that you had already done a few episodes. And you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I started one after I had my brain injury. I was in recovery from my brain injury, and I was at this point where I was having trouble even like going for walks without triggering my symptoms. And so I didn't really know when or if I was going to be able to surf again, paddle again. And I was so worried of what's the word I'm trying to think of just like missing out on things and not being part of the community. And so I decided to start a podcast, and it was mostly going to be focused around river surfing. And yeah, so I started that. I did a couple episodes, and then I started to get better, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna go paddling now. So that was the end of that. So but I had a little bit of experience. I mean, a little bit, and I was just winging it. But and then Natali's she's really into podcasts. She listens to a ton of podcasts. She's really good at conversation, and her and I always have such amazing conversations. And we also, after traveling all around as much as we did, we just connected with so many amazing people, and we wanted to keep those conversations going and stay connected to the community, and also pass on, like, tell the stories of the river, other people's river stories. So that was what inspired us. And COVID was the time. We were just like, we're just going to do it. We were waiting to have all the right gear. We kept making all of these excuses and thinking we needed fancy equipment and all this stuff. And we're like, if we keep doing this, we're never going to start. So we were just
like, what's our intro? What's our song?
Obsessing over it. And we just had to just start, and so we did. And maybe the quality's not the best. I mean, we're total amateurs. We're not really like messing with audio much. We don't have the equipment, but we're doing it, and it's been really fun.
It's fun. And I think it's a great time to have the conversations, and it's been a great time when people are readjusting and had been home so much more, because they do have more time in general to not everybody, but to listen to podcasts. So good for you guys for doing that.
Quick. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to add, like, I have a lot of people in my life that have helped me be like where I'm at and the person I am today. And they're not young pups anymore. So I want to get their stories. I want to interview them. I want to tell them how much, I attribute all of these things in my life to them and their mentorship and just the way they treated me on river trips and in my life and in my career. And so mine was like tributes to some of the people that have really like impacted me. And so I wanted to catch them while they still A, wanted to talk to me and then B, that they could tell their stories, because there's so many good river stories, especially when you're a river guide. You like, I want to be on that boat. Like, I wish at one point I'm like, I don't want to be the river guide. I just want to be on that person's boat and hear all of his stories, because he's like the senior guide. And so I want to share those. And that was a big part of the inspiration on my end, was that. So sorry to interrupt, but
no, that's fantastic. Well, I was going to mention one. I think I saw the last one was Mike Harvey, who you've mentioned already, and Bad Fish, and it's worked with both you guys, and is what an interesting guy, and his whole family, and his son, who's not so little anymore, but I just remember him as a little grom being like on the waves, and just love those early videos, and it's been fun to watch him grow up in the whole whitewater thing. Yeah, and again, I knew him from the trade shows, which I think we're lucky to have been in that early circuit, because I'm not sure how long all that's going to be really relevant anymore in the age of technology and pandemics and stuff. So we got to be in there when they had little pools, and we pretended to stand up going in circles. Not pretended, but it was an interesting challenge. Good place to practice your turns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I did even like things like a draw stroke. So not in my language. So I had already done stand-up paddling for maybe 4 years before I'd ever heard that term, because if it's from surf culture, we kind of came up with our own words to describe, J stroke, anyway, and you don't have the same kind of need. Like, wait, I'm going to be at like 1:00 facing upriver to go across this water coming at me was just, mind blowing.
Well, that's for us too, until we learned how to teach it or do it. And then like, ooh, this is fun. And then teach it.
I mean, but you were in early enough where you were still I think we're still figuring things out. Like leashes are a good example. I've talked to people about for racing, like how we wear them is based on surf culture attached to the back of the board. In the waves, yes, there's good reason why we have it there. But then where you attach it. But for racing, wait, if I'm going to fall off my board and it might be windy, it's really good to have a leash. There might be, a leash is a great safety piece of equipment, but why is it attached way back there? Like I get on in the middle of my board. It just things like that I think we've adapted a lot from surf culture and from kayak and canoe culture, understandably and rightly. But I think there's still some things we got to work out for ourselves in the middle, and maybe language is one of them, and safety equipment is one of them. And I just get people belligerent about, because our PFDs, there's a huge culture of that in kayak and culture and rafting and all. And there isn't in surf culture. It's just not part of what you do. And you don't use that in the waves. So, and in the US, it's a law. And in most of the world, it isn't. And, they'll talk about the leg rope, and, the people will see a picture and say they don't have their personal flotation device. It's like, because they have a leash, and that's their safety equipment. But sorry, you guys get me talking. You're supposed to be talking.
You're good.
No, well, I mean, it's just so easy to be like, I'm on water. So why can't all this little setup work for the river and work for the ocean and work for this and that and the other? And I think the less you the more you stay stationary, the more it doesn't make sense. The more you move around, and even like West Coast rivers and East Coast rivers are so different in how you even just like rig your boat, rig your craft, rig your SUP, and even if you go north and south, and so it's like the more you move around, the more you get humbled, and the more you stop saying this is how it is, or versus like how can I set my boat up? A lot of like how and why do you do that versus like I don't do it like that. We don't do like that, and maybe the first couple of times you do, but then the more you move around, the more you're just humbled that your way isn't the only way. And so, yeah.
I think, we've all seen that. Maybe if that's a really good point, if people do their water activity in one location and never move around, they get pretty set in their ways about this way is the right way.
Yeah. And not to like go to river guiding, but like when I rigged my boat for high water, big water, Southwest water, which is like big and deep. So you're not worried about rocks. So you're worried about weight. And then all of a sudden you go to like a little river where there's not a lot of water, but there's a ton of rocks. And you're like, wait, I don't normally hit a rock. So if I have to hit a rock and I have to hit it at this point, like I remember in my boat, you'd go downstream. It's like, you want to hit the rock at 2:00 on the front of your raft. That's going to turn your boat. And then you'll make one backstroke. Then you'll hit another rock, which will bring you back to center. And then you'll take one stroke and then one little dip with like there are rapids in Ladora. Well, Brittany just did that. It's like my favorite canyon in the world. But when it got super low, we'd be like, okay, I know now this is going to make sense. But you talk about like, okay, and then the left oar, and then you're going to hit this, and then you're going to spin, and then you're going to do one stroke, and then you're going to push, and then you're going to get stuck. But you want to get stuck on the front of your boat, not the back. So you can push up and then be ready for the move that you turn. And, it's just like, and I'm getting a little descriptive, but like that, you never would have to boat like that in Moab, and then paddling in Colorado is different than paddling. I got humbled when I paddled on the East Coast. I was like, oh, this is class 3. I'm like freaking out right now. I don't want to I was walking class 3s when I would paddle them here. So it's just, I love the river because it just always humbles you and you're always in check.
We lost her.
Oh no. Do you see us? Uh-oh.
She's gone.
I just commented if they still see us.
I think she got kicked out.
Because I was just talking too much.
We're
but
still
on
live.
Lador,
We're still
I know,
live.
but I could talk about it. Like on Lador, I was so humbled, Brittany. I remember being like,
oh, I can't
let's
imagine.
just keep it going. Oh, there she is. Hi.
I came back. Did it leave you on without me?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone said they could still see us.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that wild? You learn something new every day. So it doesn't matter that I started it. It keeps going without me. Yeah.
Well, I was just saying.
One of the comments was Kristen just took a break. She's like, I'm done.
Sorry,
I was just saying I talk too much, so I'm gonna.
No, it was awesome.
I'm gonna mute myself right now.
First, I thought you froze and you were in like oar position. It was awesome. I saw you in your fist, but it ended up being me who loved it. Well, that might be a sign we should wrap it up. I could talk to you guys for hours though, but it's so good to see your lovely faces again.
Oh,
I know.
Good to see yours. I know.
It's been a crazy time. I hope our paths cross in 2021. We need to be, I think, intentional about that and make it happen because I'm lucky to have been able to get on the water and I do have some community, but I miss the bigger stand-up paddle world and community.
Yeah.
But
It'd be
luck.
so fun. It'd be so fun to do like a 5-day like Maine salmon trip or something with, some of the ocean paddlers and get a trip going with everyone.
Oh, she's frozen again.
We lost her again.
Hold on, let's just hang out for a second. Hey, everybody. Uh-oh. Oh no. It's like, at least it's not me. I felt bad.
Yeah.
I think we can talk a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
We should do a multi-day trip where we invite the ocean paddlers out.
That would be fun. Terry Haugen Carlin says, super entertaining discussion, ladies. Always great to see you and feel your energy. I'd love to tour with you soon.
Oh, yeah.
We'd love that, Terry. Also, Ivan Stork. Where is that last name? Will you type it in if you're still looking? Oh,
Deception
Come Surf
Pass.
Deception
Oh,
Pass in
yeah.
Seattle. Yes!
Well, I stopped there when we were doing Can I Surf That? We stopped there and we couldn't figure
you
it
did?
out, or we were there at the wrong time or something. Because we were on our way up to Skookumchuck.
Hey, Ivan,
So-
will you send RVR TORVR, so river to river at gmail.com. Will you send us an email and let's start a discussion? It'd be rad to connect with you. Oh, stork, like the bird.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Burr.
Do you need a refill?
There we go. No, I'm good.
What?
I put in our email. Oh, Cape
Oh,
Cod.
sweet.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
family in Cape Cod. I go out to Mashley Island often, almost every summer.
that's awesome. Does anybody have any questions? I know there's like 11 people. Ask us a question. We're still here. We've got like 8 minutes while Kristen gets on. Do you have a question? We met at Back Beyond.
Oh,
Wait, hold on. Ivan. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, you and your girlfriend, right? I think so. And if not, then I'm sorry. Oh, Kristen, let's just let's stay on for a couple more minutes if anyone has any questions, but we can talk about as far as Eddie Out. We have an episode launching on Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've interviewed Shannon, one of our teammates.
Yeah, Shannon Thomas, about like owning your own instructional business and your like stand-up paddle instructional business in Dayton, Ohio. And then if you didn't listen to the one last week, it's with Mike Harvey and about whitewater parks. If you haven't heard about whitewater parks, you should check him out or check that episode out. And he goes into detail about the whole process, how to get some built in your town and how they like enhance communities and stuff. So it's a really cool, fun episode.
Yeah. And
if you know of anyone or you think you would be a good guest, and yeah, just send us an email at I put the email, I'll put out the Eddie Out podcast email in the comment section.
Yeah,
And
that'd be great.
yeah, if you think you would be a good guest or someone you got an interesting river story or business or anything like that, reach out to us and let us know.
Yeah, we've already had a couple people reach out with like they just created a new business and they really want to get the word out. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, Eddie Out podcast. And
that's our email, right?
Yeah. And as for I mean, there's no end date with this podcast, so we're going to need a lot of ideas and new conversations. And Rob Casey would be the man to talk to. Do you know that person? Yeah. You're going to know. I'm not. Yeah. I don't know anything about surfing, really. I can barely get on a wave these days.
Not true.
Hip replacement. What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks for finishing up the interview without me.
You got it.
Oh, Kristen.
Great to see you, Kristen.
This is good though, because so for those of you just still tuning in, I guess 6 people, we want to start doing these. We want to interview certain people that maybe instead of a podcast episode, like the now, like, hey, we need to have a conversation now about certain things and what's going on. And so we want to start doing these in January. Not every week, but we want to start doing more of these. So tune in, follow River to River. And if you ever have any questions, you can use that email. And if you have any people that you think would be good on a good, listen, an hour listen, then eddieoutpodcast@gmail.com would be a place to send those connections. So
yeah, and if you want to know about any upcoming events or clinics that we have, you can sign up for our newsletter on the website. I'll also put the website in the comment section, and you'll get updates on events and lots of other good stuff as well.
Guess what's happening in 6 days?
Your birthday? Yay.
I'm going to be 37. Shout out to anyone who's 37 and older. Tell me about how it is. If you are, leave a comment. Let me know things I should consider in my 37th year. And we want to announce, well, we're announcing something big the first week of January, an event that we are going to put on in July. How much more can we give?
That's it.
Okay, that's it.
Just like stay tuned and sign up for the newsletter if you want to, or just follow us and you'll see all the updates.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet Brittany.
Kristen, thanks.
We miss you.
Miss you.
Well, and if she's still listening, she might be. I just want to take a second and acknowledge her, because Kristen was one of those women that I immediately didn't feel competitive with. And as a competitive person, I'm really sensitive to energy, and you are also one that I didn't feel very competitive with, but it's not common. And she, I don't know if you felt the same way, but she just like opened her arms to us. And she was not only like welcoming, but then on the flip side, she would be like, hey, I don't know this. Can you show me? So like really humble. And I mean, the Payette River Games, we got to know a lot of the ocean paddlers, and I felt like that's really the only time that I really got to know them, but that time was very special, and Kristen was one of them. And I just want to, if she's still listening, Kristen, you're amazing, and it was really fun to talk with you, and it'd be fun to connect again come the summertime, and maybe we can figure a way out to get you and several other ocean paddlers on the river. What do you think?
Yay.
Maine salmon, or even just a Westwater? Kapow!
Yeah.
1-2 punch.
Maine's a little closer, I guess. Maybe.
Kristen is the best, stellar ambassador for the sport. Yeah, Terry, I would agree. She is one human that you want on your side and on your team. And with that, Kristen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And let's connect again soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Brett.
Bye.